Hi again, high school students. I'm making a follow-up video to the contrast project demonstration video I posted yesterday. I wanted to try and clear up any confusion there might be concerning what you need to do and what you're supposed to be learning about. What we're learning about is contrast. I would like you to make an artwork that shows that you understand and that you can use contrast in your artwork. So what is contrast? Contrast refers to the difference between things. In art, we are talking about the differences that exist between the things present in the work of art, like the elements and the subjects. So one of the major ways to create contrast in a work of art is through value, darks versus lights. You can see that present in my artwork here, my drawing. I have dark values up against lighter values. There's a significant difference between them. All the little shapes within the bell have values that they've been shaded with that show a significant difference between them so that they're all visible. The purpose and benefit of doing this is to allow important areas of the artwork to be clearly visible and to stand out, to make them pop. It helps to make things look more realistic. It helps things to look like they're occupying real space. And it helps things to look like they're three-dimensional. And it makes things look more interesting. Another form of contrast in an artwork is through texture. That's just another example. So rough versus smooth. And what's the purpose of that? What's the benefit? It helps create variety and creates more or increases visual interest. It's more interesting to look at differences and variety rather than sameness. Contrast can be with other types of things too, like different types of shapes. So I have a very circular shape here, and then I have very irregular shapes with the rocks. That's a difference between the two things. Going back to the textures that I was talking about earlier, you can see that present in my artwork as well. So I have more rough surface texture with the rocks, and they're even different from each other. But they're also, all the rocks are different in texture from the bell. The bell has a more shiny look because you know what the bell is supposed to be, and you can see the reflections of things which show its shininess. And then with the rocks you can see the roughness by way of the different marks that are used to shade it. Sizes, there can be contrast of sizes. I don't have that so much here in my artwork. That's not really an example you're seeing here, but you could have big versus small in an artwork. Difference in subject matter. You could have very different subject matter present in a single artwork that creates contrast in that way, and that will also increase visual interest. So, what do you need to do to show that you understand contrast and can use it in your artwork? I have a list of things that you need to do, okay? First, select still life objects from home. You need to come up with more than one, ideally more than two as well. Then you need to create an arrangement with these objects and take a picture of them. When you arrange them, think about the pleasing effect that a composition can have. Take a picture of them, like I said. Then 3, draw the subjects as a careful and precise line drawing, just like you saw in my previous video that I did. 4, apply value contrast. I want you to specifically have value contrast in this artwork. And so obviously you have to do that through shading. You need to shade dark values and light values and different values in between. And you need to arrange them so that it highlights differences. Again, seeing the differences, seeing the shadows and how it offsets against lighter values. We want to see that throughout the entire artwork. 5, create another form of contrast. You can choose what that might be. Maybe it's texture, like I have. Maybe it's in the sizes of shapes, like I mentioned. Or maybe it's with different types of shapes. And then there's other forms of contrast that you could think about as well. 6, consider finishing touches, careful control over everything that you're doing, the drawing and the shading and the texturizing. And think about the overall finished quality of the artwork. Even though the focus of our learning is contrast, and that's what we're really considering with this artwork, we're still making an artwork, so there's other things to consider too. Neatness and the subject matter that you choose, the arrangement, the quality with which you execute and render these subjects. Then what you need to do, the last thing, is to take a picture and turn in that picture of your artwork. So take a photograph of it, turn in the photograph, make sure that the photograph is really nice, and then also turn in a photograph that you took of the objects themselves. So you're turning in 2 photos, one of your artwork and one of the objects themselves, so that I can see what you were working from to make your artwork. Okay? So once again, what's the focus? The focus is contrast. And you need to specifically add value contrast and choose a different form of contrast. Okay, so I feel like I have explained what you're learning about and what you need to do. But again, if I've left something out, or if I have made something too vague or not clear enough for you, please feel free to email me. I've already had an email asking to clear up some stuff, and I appreciate that. So please email me with your questions, and I would be more than happy to answer them. One final thing. You might be wondering about the size of your drawing. I made the size of my drawing. I measured a rectangle here that is 6 by 8. And the 6 by 8 was in proportion with the photo that I took earlier of my objects, so that I could, measure out where things go relative to what I saw in the photograph, that it made sense together. The proportions of height versus width made sense. Okay, so 6 by 8 is mine. I would ask you to go make an artwork that is 6 by 8 or larger. Okay, so about this size or larger. It is smaller than the full paper, as you can see. Okay, so that's what I'm hoping. I gave you guys drawing paper. If by chance you have somehow run out, you need to inform me right away so that I can send you what you need. This is the last major project of the year, and it's really important that you turn it in. Turn in whatever you can come up with, even if it's not perfect, which it's not going to be. Neither is mine. You need to turn in something. Turn in a good, solid effort. But don't not turn in anything. Okay? You guys already know this, but turning in something is better than turning in nothing. And some points are better than no points. I, of course, want you guys to achieve at a high level, and I have high expectations for what I think you guys are capable of doing. But you should still turn in whatever it is you come up with, good or bad or otherwise. Okay? Don't have missing assignments. And that goes for all of the other assignments that I have in the Google Classroom as well. Turn in what you can. It makes a big difference. We are in the home stretch of this year, and the next 2 weeks will be for finishing this drawing, which is it's just a drawing, and finishing up any and all other assignments that you might be missing. So normally I have a rule about sketchbooks that I don't allow them 1 week after they're assigned and due, but that's not applied to this distance learning time. You can turn in any and all sketchbook assignments and any and all other assignments. Focus on these big projects too. That's important. They're worth more points. They are actually focused on specific learning that I would like you to learn. The sketchbooks are great, but the sketchbook's purpose is really about repetition and fluency of drawing. So like drawing a lot to get better over time. It's like a journal. I don't really grade specific concepts as much in the sketchbooks. It's more about just doing it and finishing it and turning it in. These drawings, these projects are worth a lot more points, and educationally they are much more valuable and important as well. So focus on these, then move on to the smaller assignments. Okay, I'm going to end this video, but once again, any and all questions you have, please email me, reach out. I want to answer your questions, and I want you to be successful and to feel like you're finishing this year strong. I know this distance learning thing is really weird and difficult, but I have faith and confidence in your ability to do what you can, to pull through and to turn in your work as best you can. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. Thanks, guys. Good luck.